Welcome everybody, Shall Be Right Back, the show where we take a look at a horror movie, and this one's not really a horror movie, but it kind of is.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what noise I made there. We'll get into it, I guess, but it's I don't know.
Covers a lot of area in the Venn diagram, I feel.
Oh, we've got a Venn diagram. Yeah, it's certainly got some real dark, gruesome moments, and I guess we'll get into it. But it's just bizarre. It's a very strange mashup movie, I think.
So we're talking Gremlins, 1984. This is a movie I had seen maybe 10, 12 years ago. It was kind of one of those classic movies that I kind of felt like I need to watch this at some point. Stuck it on. I remember enjoying it, but not being like die-hard obsessed that I know a lot of people are. Like, this is sprawled like a massive kind of multimedia thing, you know, particularly in like merchandising. You know, you see with NECA, like there's figures every week about this franchise. So I remember liking it, but not being obsessed. Upon a rewatch, I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I think it deserves every kind of bit of praise that it gets.
I think it's a really interesting film. I think it's one of those ones that people have become obsessed with. Like you say, it's almost become a pop culture thing. And we've talked a lot, haven't we, about how sometimes when you go back to these early movies, they don't quite stand the test of time. So I hadn't seen Gremlins for a good while, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was tremendous. I loved everything about it. I love the practical special effects. As you say, it really does deserve, I think, all the praise it's given. And interestingly, as you know, I always watch these movies with my better half, and at the end of it, she said to us, the special effects stand up, don't they? This doesn't feel like it's aged much.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Like it, honestly, absolutely blown away. People shite on now about how good Baby Yoda looks. And like, this was fucking 40 years ago. Like, it's insane how good Gizmo looks like as an animatronic, and kind of there's some cool kind of ways that they got around having such a small thing have that many complicated parts. We'll get to that later. Bit of background about the movie. It's directed by Joe Dante, who had done The Howling and the original Piranha movie. Watching this, I instantly in my head thought Small Soldiers, which is a movie that I love. Sure enough, he also directed that. Written by Chris Columbus, obviously huge director, went on to do Home Alone and the first two Harry Potter movies. So, you know, I think you can feel a little bit of Home Alone, the Christmas vibe in this, the kind of like not quite a kid's movie, not quite an adult's movie kind of middle ground that this kind of sits in. And then obviously produced by Steven Spielberg, which is huge, just kind of, I think, right after he'd established his production company after doing E.T. So he kind of was looking for another kind of fantastical project. Yeah, Gizmo is so cute. Like, I mean, just the most adorable thing I've ever seen in a movie. It's one of those, you just see him.
I can't do the voice. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. You just see him and you're just like, I want one. Give me one. I'd like this for Christmas.
So you're probably too young, James, because I think you're about 13. But when I was younger, when I first got with my then girlfriend at the time, Malona, Furbies were a thing. I don't know if you remember Furbies.
Yes, I remember having no, my sister had a Furby.
Yeah, they did a limited edition Gizmo one, and I got her that for Christmas, and it was stunning.
What? How old were you? 50?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
About that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Furbies, I that look has to be somewhat inspired by Gremlins, I would imagine. You look at them side by side, they look identical. But yeah, like the effect, you never really, like, I think, you know, sometimes when you're watching it, you're like, oh, this looks really good, but you're never like, I don't believe this is a thing.
I think there's only one scene for me which feels out of kilter with the special effects, and that's where they've been in the swimming pool and they're all coming down the street.
The stop motion scene.
Yeah, that scene feels a little bit jarring compared to the rest of it.
That's fair, absolutely. But like, to get that effect, like, there's obviously lots of kind of really complex animatronic parts for Gizmo. So for close-up shots, they had like a bigger one that they kind of put more pieces in, and they just like had like big 3D glasses to give them and stuff, so it looked like it was tiny. I thought that was a really clever way of doing that. The Gremlins themselves are just like one of the most fun villains in a movie. They're just such menaces. I love like they just go into this bar and they're just smoking and drinking, and one of them's got a trench coat and he's just flashing the bartender.
I just love the mythology of it as well, because you've always had that kind of term, haven't you? The Gremlins in the machine kind of stuff. So to make them a tangible creature, and I think, you know, the crazy guy at one point says that he's a little bit racist. I mean, that's interesting. He makes a few racist comments, but at one point he makes a comment about the Germans sending them over to get into machines and stuff. And I think, actually, do you know what? That's a really cool idea. It's a clever concept, and I just love that they're having fun. Do you know what I mean? They just couldn't give a shit. They're just there destroying and having a laugh.
And like, it's interesting because like the tone of this movie is so fun, yet they're killing people. Like, this is like, you know, some people are like dying in kind of horrific ways throughout this.
This is the thing I found most interesting about the movie, is that the first kind of half of it, I guess, or maybe it's not half, it's almost like Disney-esque in terms of its campiness and its silliness.
It's a live action cartoon. That opening shot with the, you know, it's almost like a noir kind of,
I love
you'd
that
expect
bit,
a Bugs Bunny thing.
Yeah.
So did I. Yeah.
But you've got the kind of the wicked bank woman walking down and people in the street going, oh, jumping out of her way and stuff.
Good morning. What's good about it?
Yeah, but it's so pantomime. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you've got horrific scenes of the mother with a carving knife stabbing one to death and then blending one, putting it in the friggin' microwave. And then the human characters, like you say, a whole host of those get bumped off.
Thank you for reminding me of the kitchen sequence, because Billy's mom is a fucking badass. She just like, fuck this. I'm not getting victimized here.
You wouldn't be telling her our turkey's dry at Christmas, would you? Because she'd kick your ass. I think, I have to say as well, one of my favourite bits is the inventor dad. And just every scene, there's some new shit invention that they're kind of being forced to use. Bathroom buddy, you've got that horrendous coffee maker thing.
Smokeless ashtray, which is a thing now. I think they actually have those now, don't they?
Yeah, I just love him. I think he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That voice that comes out of him as well is like, ooh, that's sultry. I feel like I've heard that somewhere.
Who comes out of who?
Of the dad.
Oh, the dad. I can't say I got. It didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like that guy. I know he I can't remember the actor's name. He's done like some country music songs. That I checked. I was certain he was the guy in that that Convoy song. That we got a big convoy. He was the one. I thought that was him. I can't find that it is.
I mean, that was tremendous, James. You have to do that again.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. That's my end of year singing performance. So you're welcome. But just like a gremlin in a trench coat flashing. It's just like, what is this? What's happening here? This is just.
That's the thing. I mean, even the second movie goes even further, but I like the fact that this is not just a generic every creature's the same. You can see they've all got distinct kind of personalities and different oddnesses about them and stuff. The scene in the cinema where they've all got the glasses on and they're all sat watching the movie, it's just
having a good time, singing along. It's fun. I almost wanted to be there, only I get murdered probably.
Yes, I would imagine so. And then we're talking about the special effect and how sometimes it's horrific. You've got the cutiness of it, and then you've got the water being spilled and the things like erupting from his back, which are pretty horrendous. And then the actual green version of the gremlins themselves are hideous, really.
Just like the gross, it's almost like alien-esque, the gross kind of eggs that they burst out of.
When Spike bites the bullet at the end and melts, it's absolutely vile.
Gave me flashes to Fright Night.
I thought that as well.
The guy from Billy from Fright Night dying.
I thought that as well.
I also love like that they just sometimes they whip out a gun. Like a gremlin will just have a gun and shoot at somebody. I thought that was great. The cast I thought was really good. Like Zach Galligan, I think is his name. I might be ruining that. Playing Billy, another Billy. This is the third Christmas movie with a Billy in it that we've done. Yeah, three Billies. Excellent, really great leading character. I thought he was really likable. I was rooting for him the entire time. Phoebe Cates, who obviously she had just come off of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, sex symbol at the time. I really think it's admirable that the movie didn't lean into that at all. That she's just kind of your girl next door. They never had a kind of a bikini scene or a she's getting dressed kind of sequence. You would think that they would,
because we've watched a few 80s kind of movies and boobage is always on display. And it's absolutely not a feature in this movie at all. And the young lad, who's he again? Because I recognise him. Is it
Corey Feldman from Lost Boys and various other things? Yeah, he's every 80s movie. He's in
it.
Stage
I think it's part of the contract. He's got to be in everything, isn't he?
But he was a fun character. I liked him with the slingshot, kind of shooting at the thing. I love how like just towards the end, the entire town it's just so chaotic. Like everybody's is fighting them off, and it's so much fun. Like it almost made me want kind of a video game where you're running around a town fighting back against the gremlins.
And I'm sure as well, James, you might have it in your facts bit, but I'm sure I've read something about the town being the same town as they use in Back to the Future.
Yes, it is. And like I was reading about how they like purposely didn't want it to look like a real town. They wanted it to look a bit like a set, like to have this almost dream-esque, I guess, kind of feeling to it. And there's like other elements, and you could argue this is just laziness and they're bullshitting, but like they don't push. This movie was filmed in the summer. They don't like make fake kind of cold breath come out of people. Like you know, if you're watching it knowing it's summer, you kind of tell like it's just it's like ground up limestone and white sand used for snow and stuff.
So here's a question for you, and just because you've mentioned the snow. When the gremlins get wet, they pop and the other gremlins come out of them, hence them going to the swimming pool and chucking them in the water, yeah? When they're all walking through the snow, why is it not happening there then?
Because snow isn't water.
Of course it's friggin' water. Snow is water.
No, I mean, technically. I mean, yeah, but also like...
Do you realise you just said snow is not water?
Snow is not water, yeah. No, you can have dry snow, Peter.
Okay, right.
When is after midnight? Like, what if the gremlin's on a plane? What if Mogwai's on a plane? Like, what happens then? If you're moving time zones, what time is midnight? How far after midnight is it then before the next midnight?
I mean, these are all questions that are just far too hard for our simple little brains, James.
Is it midnight midnight to 6 a.m. Would you get away with 6:01 a.m.? You know,
Let's move on. Let's move on.
it's important. I feel ruins the movie for me. A little bit of trivia about the movie, Peter. This blew me away. I only found this out today. Gizmo is voiced by Harry Mandel.
Would you be blown away if you knew that I didn't know who Harry Mandel is?
Absolutely, he's an American kind of TV personality. He is best known for hosting. He's one of the judges on like America's Got Talent, I think. But I was like, oh my god, I didn't know that was him. So I thought that was really funny. He's the last person, not the last person, but like you wouldn't expect that it would come out of him, you know. And I've seen him doing the voice since. It's like, whoa.
Gizmo's got a very iconic little voice, isn't it? It's like he's just what the hell was that? That wasn't. Do that again.
That was my weak attempt at I guess. Sound more like Waluigi.
I love Gizmo. I think his voice is amazing. He's just cute. But also, you know, the voices for the main Gremlins as well, Spike and stuff like that, just creepy. You know, like when he's got Bailey and stuff. It's just
I like how it makes no sense that they can talk, but they can just talk, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, I like it. I'm rolling with this, you know. The movie, along with Temple of Doom, led to the creation of the PG-13 rating. So you're probably familiar with this, that like it was PG when it came out. 2 Spielberg movies kind of in a row had come out, and they were rated PG, and they were kind of advertised as family films. And then there's some horrific stuff in this, and yeah, it was not quite at R. So yeah, I wound up getting a PG-13 rating. I think it was like a month after it came out that they put it in.
That doesn't surprise us, mate, because it is at times horrific. It is quite scary, I think.
There's also like, and this, you know, comparison to Home Alone as well, where there's just like cursing. People like curse and make sex jokes, and everyone's smoking. Yeah, like, it just feels
it's
like
the 80s. They're allowed to back then, man. Do you know what I mean? They didn't care. You know what I mean? Do what you want.
The Santa speech proved to be controversial, and studio executives insisted on its removal because they felt it was too ambiguous as to whether it was supposed to be funny or sad. Director Joe Dante, however, stubbornly refused to take the scene out, saying it represented the movie as a whole, which is a combination of horrific and comedic elements. Executive producer Steven Spielberg did not like the scene, but despite this, he viewed the movie as Dante's project and allowed him to leave it in.
What was the Santa scene?
So this is where Phoebe Cates talks about her dad got stuck in a chimney crawling down.
Do you know
Santa,
what? I'm pleased you've mentioned that, because that feels completely out of place in the movie to me. I remember sitting with my wife and thinking, wait, what the shit? What's this all about? It was just bizarre, I thought.
I understand where they're coming from, but I felt like it was a bit of a downer as well. I can't remember exactly where it's placed in the movie as well, but it was, I think it's coming off of a fun scene. It's like, okay, we didn't
but it had no relevance to anything really. Do you know what I mean? It was
character development, I guess. I mean, it's like he's an idiot, you know. Don't go down chimneys in Santa suits.
Well, what the hell? Yeah, mental.
And lastly, originally Stripe and Gizmo were the same character. This changed when Steven Spielberg insisted one of the Gremlins be a good guy with whom the audience could identify. Director Joe Dante expresses this decision was the reason why the film is so fondly remembered.
Ah, that's interesting.
If like the movie had established that a Mogwai could turn back from a Gremlin into a Mogwai again, I would have assumed Gizmo would have turned into a Gremlin at the end to fight Stripe, and then he would save the day. That being said, my favorite scene in this movie is when he zips around the corner in the fucking little pink car and just comes to save the day, and I was just like, yes.
Have you seen Gremlins 2, James?
I have, but again, like this movie, I remember there being a hooker Gremlin, isn't there?
Yeah, but in that one, we'll get Gizmo doing his Rambo thing with his little red kind of bandana and stuff.
I remember. yeah. So any final thoughts on Gremlins?
It's a cracking movie. This for me is a feel-good Christmas movie. We're reviewing it on a horror channel, and that's, I think, a fair comment, because it has got elements of horror in it. There are some pretty horrific scenes in this. So yeah, I love it. It definitely is one of those movies that is worthy of all the hype around it, I think.
It's, you know, it's a creature feature, isn't it? So it's horror adjacent at the very least. A classic, modern, like an absolute classic. I think it deserves every bit of praise it gets. This is going to be a yearly kind of Christmas watch for me now. Loved every second of it, and yeah, I want to go out and get like a life-sized Gizmo now to stick up behind me, and so much fun.
I have got a life-sized Gizmo, because I don't know why, but your little face reminds us a bit of Gizmo, I have to say.
I'll take it. He's a little cutie. I'm a little cutie too, haven't I?
Absolutely.
I think so. I take it this is better than Willy's Wonderland then. What would happen if you got Nick Cage wet and fed him after midnight?
Ooh, Gremlins, where Nick Cage is fighting the Gremlins naked, would be tremendous.
Okay. Is he yellow?
No, just naked.
This is a first for us, Peter, because last time we talked about Gremlins and we enjoyed it so much we thought we'll just move right on to the second one. So here we are, Gremlins 2.
A new batch, and it certainly is.
Absolutely fantastic. The first one certainly has like its zaniness to it, but this is just another universe. The most absolutely bizarre jokes and gags like I've ever seen in a film. It's a parody of the first movie in a way, which I've never seen a sequel do.
They actually critique it, don't they? They have the film guy with the Gremlins 1 video.
Yeah.
Pulling it to bits, moaning about it.
And that's an actual reviewer who like hated the first movie and he brought him in to get killed by a gremlin child love.
So I'm taking it, James, that you loved this movie.
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't? Okay, let's talk about it.
I'm gonna be grumpy old fart. I enjoyed it. It was fun. You know, it was silly. It certainly, well, it still had horror elements to it, I guess, like the first one. But it felt to me, as you just described, really, that the silliness and the zaniness and the madness, it just dialed right up.
No, absolutely.
It was like maddeningly silly at times.
I mean, we even opened with like a Looney Tunes sketch at the very start.
What the shit was that all about?
Warner Brothers, why not? Like,
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is going on here?
yeah, and that's even in the credits as well. You have like Daffy coming in, like, oh, you're still watching and all, which is fun. A little bit of background about it. Obviously, the first Gremlins was incredibly successful. Warner Brothers wanted a sequel pretty much immediately. Joe Dante, who was the first film's director, didn't want to make like a cash grab. I don't really want to. Eventually, he agreed to make a sequel, given that he had full creative control. And I think this was one person's
madness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is he in some kind of asylum now? Then is he?
He's married to the lady Gremlin, I think, isn't he? Like settled down.
Yeah, whoa, yeah. That was sinister at the end. That took a dirty turn.
What do you think of the setting? I love the New York, very Home Alone-esque as well, where the first movie's in this kind of little town and then on to like the Big Apple. I just thought it was really fun. The kind of parody of late 80s New York businessmen was good fun. Clamp is, kind of a take on like Donald Trump and Trump Tower, which I thought was great. He's obsessed with metallic. How the building just doesn't work, like the revolving door just like spits people out of it. I thought it was a good gag.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that. And it sold us straight away because I love the actor who plays the kind of the Donald Trump figure. He was Lex Luthor in Smallville. Not Lex Luthor, Line Luthor, yeah.
Yeah, John Glover.
And he was tremendous in that.
Yeah, he also voices the Riddler in the Batman animated series. Fantastic actor. So he was great. I love that he's not, the opening of the movie kind of sets him up to be the villain of it, but he's not. He's just sort of a little bit of an asshole, but he comes out of the movie like a better person at the end, which I thought was nice.
He's obliviously rich, isn't he? If things don't bother him because he's probably never had to deal with stuff. I mean, there's a great scene, I think, halfway through where he's getting excited because he's going to shred some correspondence.
Some documents, yeah.
That's the excitement of his day,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
So I like that character. I think he's very cool.
Gizmo certainly has like a better, like the animatronics have come a long way, I think, from the first one. He looked incredible in the first movie. In this one, we're seeing him moving around quite a lot more, I think.
Again, it's going to be the same complaint I've got as the first film, and trying to remember that this is a movie of its time. Practical special effects look absolutely phenomenal. Gizmo's face, his emotion, everything is amazing. The second you step away from that and start trying to do a bit of CGI and stuff like that, I mean, the dancing on the desk bit looked pretty ropey.
I completely disagree. I thought the dancing looked fantastic in it.
My wife burst out laughing at that point.
Seriously?
It looked, yeah.
No, I like that. I thought that was a fun sequence. I love the Rambo thing. I think that's fantastic. There wasn't enough of that. I feel like his segment in the movie throughout the entire thing should have been like a John McClane Rambo. He's tackling different groups of gremlins, but we only really get that one bit where he kills the spider.
I think, again, very similar to the first one, Gizmo isn't the star of the show. Do you know what I mean? There's a big build-up, he gets wet, he kind of disappears for a lot of it and then just appears at the end. So it's a shame that you don't get more of Gizmo, I think. I enjoyed the bit with the bandana and the bow and arrow and all that kind of stuff.
Just come to the rescue. It's always my favorite, just hero Gizmo. There's a lot of like meta jokes I really wasn't expecting in this. Like obviously we talked about the kind of the review of the first movie, which just breaks the entire universe. I thought a brilliant gag, and I would have loved to have been in the cinema when this happened, like in the like opening weekend, where the film reel like gets destroyed and it's the Gremlins, and then it cuts out to a cinema and people are complaining, and then Hulk Hogan just shows up and starts screaming at the Gremlins.
But again, you see, it sounds, and it felt, if I'm honest, watching it last night, a bit hokey, a bit kind of, oh, come on, tongue in cheek. But back in the day when this came out, that would have been probably very fresh and very, I bet that hadn't happened much in the cinema.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very ahead of its time, I feel, like that kind of a meta joke, like we get it nowadays with like your Deadpools and stuff like that, but I feel like, 1990 wouldn't have been very common at all. My favorite gag in the movie is where Phoebe Cates is talking, someone mentions,
I knew you'd like that. Yeah.
Someone mentions Abe Lincoln and she starts going into this another really sad story about her childhood, and Zach Galligan's just like, we don't have time for this, let's move on. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Yeah,
I love the fact that she kind of almost, steps forward to look towards the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Really fun, self-aware kind of moment. I thought was great to have her back, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of having people back, I could have done without the racist neighbour who I thought got killed in the first film. And then he's back now with his wife for a tour of New York. That was unnecessary for me. I'd rather that they just weren't in it.
I would have just rather more Gremlin stuff or more Gizmo stuff instead of that, I think. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
The other one, which was great, just talking meta stuff, the bat sign. I love that. That was very cool.
Because this would have been the year after Batman 89. That was a great fun kind of nod. I was like, oh, that's funny. This is just a live action cartoon, like even more so than the first movie, and I'm here for it, Good to have Billy back as well. A lot of the time in sequels, you see the core couple break up between movies and then it's them coming back together. I like that they're just together at the start and that they're like talking about getting married. I thought that's nice. We've evolved from that, it's not usual for sequels at the time.
Interesting kind of stereotypes of the woman that he's working with, the redhead, constantly smoking, almost sexually abusive, because she touches
sticks her foot in his crotch. Yeah. I was like, whoa.
It was a bit rough, but yeah.
What's with the vampire host? I thought that was a really random element to throw in there.
So I forget the guy's name as well, but I certainly got, and again it might just be my old ears, but when he was on at the start, I got Fright Night vibes. I got Peter Vincent kind of vibes when he was filming his show and stuff.
I got a little bit of that as well. I hated the photographer guy. I think he's supposed to be a Japanese tourist.
Yeah, horrendously stereotypical.
Yeah, just like pointing awful. Phoebe Cates to stand at things to take photos and stuff. I love that he's not a good videographer as well. Like when he's taking over the TV cameras, he's terrible. He's like too far zoomed in and everything. I thought that was really funny.
Stunning special effects. At the end where the Gremlins die, it's just gory. And also when they're giving birth to the other Gremlins, popping off the backs and stuff. Superb effects.
Incredible, I think, for 1990. Absolutely. Yeah. Really happy with a Christopher Lee appearance in this. I wasn't expecting that, and I'm like, oh wow, I love seeing him. Dr. Cushing catheter. Yeah. So a nod to Peter Cushing and then just a catheter as the last thing. Why does this business like real estate mogul have like a gene splicing lab in his building,
Yeah, just crazy. Just crazy. And like he says, at one point they could have had, was it 2 psychologists and a therapist on that floor or something? But a great scene. And obviously that's the bit that allows you to have the fun with the Gremlins.
Exactly. I think very clever the plot point, I think, to say, okay, well, they're just drinking different things and we can make any Gremlin we want to. On that topic, I have a little breakdown of just some of the Gremlins that appear in this movie. So Brain Gremlin, which is like the smart Gremlin that talks. Loved him. Fantastic. I love how drinking the thing gives him glasses.
Yeah, he just kind of appears, doesn't he, with the glasses on.
Yeah, brilliant. Bash Gremlin we talked about. Great one. Lady Gremlin. Now, I don't know if... I just imagine this, but my entire life I thought it was a hooker gremlin, but it's not. It's just a lady gremlin.
That's terrible how you view them.
I'm pretty sure I referenced in the last video that hooker gremlin in the second one, but it's not. It's just a lady. A promiscuous lady, but...
Yeah, provocative.
Yes.
It? Big red lips and things.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. It's a bit...
Yeah, I don't know why. I imagine like there was a bit where someone's walking down a street and she's like on the corner or something. It's like, no, there's nothing like that in this.
80s kids film. Let's have a few prostitutes.
It wouldn't feel out of place in this, really, would it? Like, yeah. There's a bit in Home Alone where he walks past some hookers, so like, yeah, why not? Yeah. Flasher Gremlin returns, delighted. My favorite Gremlin. Vegetable Gremlin.
Why not? And the best bit for Vegetable Gremlin for me is when they're having the drinks later on and someone pulls an olive off them and puts it in the mouth.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't spot that. That's funny.
Yeah. Plucked him all an olive off him. I thought that was quite cool.
I like that, yeah.
I don't really feel we had like a main bad guy Gremlin in this. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't one that stood out as the ringleader.
Should have been the Brain one. He should have been like the kind of the overarching villain of the movie. I think that would have been fun. Like the nemesis for Gizmo. I don't think he even meets Gizmo in the movie.
No, I don't think he does.
No. You have like the bit where Gizmo gets captured. He could be like delivering monologues and stuff like that. That would have been fun. Electricity Gremlin. Sure, why not? Yeah, we just have bolts of lightning shooting around. Why not? There's also the googly-eyed one that you see as the Mogwai that comes out, which like just to look stupid. It's like, all right.
That's its entire purpose, isn't it?
Oh yeah, stupid as fuck. yeah. Another one of my favorites that I loved, you only see him a couple times in the Gremlin of the Opera. So like there's a bit where there's a bit where he just gets acid chucked in his face and then pulls the mask up, and then later on he's doing the music. I thought that was just so random and stupid and hilarious. Like,
and you get what you liked from the first film. You get gremlins with guns on a number of occasions.
You do, yeah, absolutely, shooting Uzis and everything, and like they have like bazookas and all. Like it was good.
There's the one as well who the brain gremlin, when he's interviewing the other gremlin and he shoots the guy in the face just because it's fun.
They're like end of days as if they get out of the building. I think that's fun. But I would love to see like New York gets taken over by Gremlins story. Like I don't think they would have had the budget for this, even though the budget for this was significantly bigger than the first one. We couldn't have had that back then. But I would love to see that. I think if we get around to a third one. So a little bit of trivia about the movie. The janitor is played by John Aston, who was the original Gomez Addams in the Addams Family. So that was fun. I like to see him. I was like, oh no, I love him.
I recognised him as soon as I saw him. I thought, yeah, that was cool.
The film is the basis for a Key and Peele sketch. Now I asked you to watch this before we came on. I love this sketch. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Jordan Peele plays the sequel doctor, and he comes in and he just goes around the writer's room of Gremlins 2 and just saying like everybody gets to make a gremlin, and they all start pitching them, and it just gets more and more ridiculous.
Lipstick, boobies, bitch, you have me and little gremlin for JJ.
That's one of the best sketches from Key and Peele, I think.
Because it's real. Do you know what I mean? It makes absolute sense, because that's exactly what probably bloody happened. It's just madness. Where these things come from, or the link to them.
Yeah, just electricity gremlin. You just said noun and gremlin, you know. You didn't really give this much thought, but it's going in the movie. Yeah, and then the gag at the end is like all of this is actually in the movie. It's fun. So yeah, I love that one.
Worth watching.
Absolutely, yeah, brilliant. And lastly, the opening aerial shots of New York are recycled footage from Superman 4: Quest for Peace.
Oh, that's a dog shit movie as well.
Isn't it? Yeah. What do you mean as well? You calling this movie dog shit? How dare you?
No, it's not dog shit. No, it's gremlin shit. No, Superman 4 is dreadful. I didn't realise that.
So the future of this franchise. There is a third film supposedly in development. Chris Columbus finished a script in 2017, and it deals with the question, is Gizmo too dangerous to be kept alive? And I think that's a reasonable thing.
I mean, I can answer that now. Yes, of course. Every movie, he literally says, oh, hello, and then all of a sudden there's water on him.
How many times does this have to happen before you go, let's
shoot it in the face, just kill it. Yeah.
The only other information we have is that it's not going to have any CGI in it, or minimal CGI. It's going to be mostly animatronics.
I'm kind of surprised it's taken this long. I mean, was the second movie not a success financially?
No, not as much as the first one was. And Joe Dante had said he thinks it was too long between the movies. So like it was six years or something. So like, yeah, the first one was at the time the third highest grossing Warner Brothers movie, and the second one made a quarter of it less.
Yeah, it's because it was too long between movies. Nothing to do with having a friggin' vegetable gremlin, is it?
That's a reason to see this movie, because I would imagine coming out of it and telling my friend this is in it and that's in it and you should go see it. Like, I don't think that's the problem with it anyway. The only other thing from the series is a couple of video games, and then there was an animated series last year, I think, called Secrets of the Mogwai, which is set in the 1920s, and it shows how the old man in the Chinatown store got Gizmo.
Do I think there's more Gizmo type things out there, Mogwais out there, or is he a lone creature? Because we've never really explored that, have we?
I'd imagine there is, because he knows like about them, he knows the lore of them and stuff. So they are like a creature from I think it would be interesting in like another movie to have like another Mogwai come into it. Like, I assume like there's tons of them. He's spawned from another one, that spawned from another one. You know. Any final thoughts on Gremlins 2?
You know what? Just a fun movie. I think I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the first movie because it went too silly for me, but it's still fun. Do you know what I mean? I still enjoyed watching it. Would I class it as a horror? Absolutely not. I think there are a couple of scary scenes in it, but I don't think it's a horror by any stretch. It's just a bit of a silly bit of fun, really. A silly jaunt.
I loved it. Balls to the wall, the entire thing, every second of it. I absolutely loved it. I don't know if I would say which of the two movies I prefer. I think there's a valid argument for one being your favorite over the other. It's a fantastic follow-up, just so bizarre.
I think, the sign of a good movie for me is, do I want more? And after watching Gremlins 2, absolutely. I'd certainly watch more in this universe, and I'm shocked that we've not had another film, to be honest. It's so well loved, It's so
absolutely. Yeah, I'm really hoping we eventually get it, and I hope it's not sanitized. I hope has that kind of edge that these movies have, like where they're not quite kids, not quite adults. Like, it'll be good to see. Is it better than Willy's Wonderland?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
It is
very good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Grants.
Everyone's got one scare.
Never, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.